Ladies and gentlemen, there is a power rising in our time, a quiet, bold, unstoppable force. It doesn't come with noise or arrogance. It doesn't demand attention, yet it shifts the world. That force is the mind of a smart woman. You see, smart women think differently. They don't simply follow the crowd. They lead with conviction. They don't echo empty opinions. They speak with wisdom earned through pain, prayer, perseverance, and purpose. They think in a way that calls out the best in others, even when the world is settling for less. They are not intimidated by change. They are the change makers. They don't define themselves by status, salary, or social media followers. No, they are defined by something deeper: values, vision, and the voice of truth within them. These women, these smart, spirit-led women, see the world not just as it is, but as it could be. They don't crumble under pressure. They rise with grace. They don't run from difficulty. They walk through it with dignity. And most of all, they think beyond themselves, planting seeds of strength that future generations will harvest. So today, I call out to every woman listening: you were not made to be small. You were not made to conform. You were made to stand tall. You were made to think differently. And the world needs that difference desperately. Smart women lead with wisdom, not ego. This is not just a catchphrase. It is a way of life, a mindset, and a spiritual posture. In a world that often rewards the loudest voice in the room, the most aggressive approach, or the most attention-grabbing image, the smart woman chooses a different way. She walks a higher road. She isn't consumed with being seen. She is focused on seeing clearly. Her wisdom doesn't come from books alone, though she reads. It doesn't come from degrees alone, though she learns. Her wisdom is forged in the fire of experience, in quiet moments of reflection, in the hard decisions made when no one else was watching. She doesn't lead because she craves control. She leads because she understands responsibility. She has seen what happens when truth is ignored, when integrity is abandoned, when leaders lead from ego instead of heart. So she chooses a different spirit. She is bold, yes, but not brash. She is confident, yes, but not cocky. She knows who she is and where she's going, not because the crowd cheers her on, but because she has listened to the still, small voice within her. That voice reminds her that influence without wisdom is dangerous, and power without humility is destructive. A smart woman doesn't rush to speak to prove herself. She listens deeply. She doesn't interrupt to shine. She leans in to understand. Her words carry weight not because they are loud, but because they are rooted. She doesn't need to crush others to feel strong. She builds others up, knowing that real strength multiplies rather than subtracts. She leads teams, homes, and communities not with a clenched fist, but with open hands and a clear mind. In conversations, she isn't interested in showing how much she knows. She's more concerned with what the other person needs. While others fight for position, she quietly earns respect. While some rise quickly on ego and fall even faster, she rises slowly, steadily, on the foundation of character. When she walks into a room, she doesn't need to announce herself. The atmosphere changes, not because of what she says, but because of who she is. Wisdom has a presence. It doesn't have to perform. It doesn't have to pretend. And the smart woman, she understands this. She doesn't fall into the trap of comparison. She isn't trying to outdo anyone. She's trying to outgrow who she was yesterday. This kind of leadership doesn't scream. It speaks with calm clarity. It doesn't push, it guides. It doesn't demand, it invites. Because she knows the truth, ego may build a platform, but only wisdom can sustain it. Ego can start a movement, but only wisdom can finish it. Ego seeks applause. Wisdom seeks impact. And the smart woman, she chooses impact every time. Smart women think independently and courageously. They do not accept things simply because that's how it's always been. They are not satisfied with surface level answers or shallow traditions. Instead, they dig deeper, question boldly, and seek out truth, even when it's inconvenient. Their thoughts are not confined by what is popular, expected, or easy. They carry the courage to challenge assumptions, even if those assumptions are centuries old or culturally embedded. They understand that independent thinking is not rebellion for its own sake. It is the pursuit of something more meaningful, more authentic, more true. This kind of thinking demands bravery, because it often leads them to places others are afraid to go. It requires them to stand alone at times, to walk through seasons of misunderstanding, to resist the pressure to conform. It means taking the risk of being labeled difficult or different. But smart women know the cost of silence is too high. The price of pretending is too steep. They choose truth over comfort and clarity over approval. They are not reckless, they are rooted. Their independent thinking is not impulsive, but intentional. It flows from a deep well of self-awareness, faith, and moral clarity. They do not need validation to know they are right. Their convictions do not depend on applause. While others are shaped by trends and manipulated by noise, the smart woman returns to her inner compass. She evaluates everything, not through the lens of fear, but through the lens of wisdom and discernment. She doesn't say yes just to avoid conflict. She doesn't say no just to prove a point. She says what is right, what is just, what is necessary. And she says it not to be heard, but to make a difference. When everyone is shouting, she knows how to pause and think. When emotions are high, she applies reason. When decisions must be made, she doesn't rush to follow. She considers, reflects, and then steps forward with confidence. This kind of thinking often puts her ahead of her time. People may not understand her at first. They may resist her ideas. They may mock her for being too serious or too idealistic. But time always tells the truth, and the path she forges today becomes the road others will walk tomorrow. She is not bound by the limits of what has been done before. She honors the past, but she is not shackled to it. She respects tradition, but she is not enslaved by it. If something must change, she is willing to be the one who begins. If a conversation must be had, she is not afraid to speak first. If a wall must be broken down, she picks up the hammer. Her thinking is not reactive, it is visionary. She sees what is possible and dares to imagine something better. In a world that often encourages blind loyalty, she chooses thoughtful examination. In a culture that rewards compliance, she chooses courage. She understands that independent thought is a responsibility, not just a privilege. Because when a smart woman thinks freely, courageously, and deeply, she becomes a voice for those who can't speak, a guide for those who are lost, and a light for those walking through darkness. Smart women prioritize purpose over popularity. They are not driven by the fleeting thrill of applause or the temporary high of external approval. While others may chase trends, likes, and followers, the smart woman is chasing something far more lasting, something rooted in the depths of who she is and what she was created to do. She does not measure her worth by how many eyes are watching her, but by how faithfully she is living out her calling. Her aim is not to be admired by many, but to be aligned with the truth that lives within her. This kind of woman wakes up with a sense of direction. She does not stumble through life hoping for recognition. She walks with intention. She makes decisions not based on how they will be perceived, but on whether they are right. She knows that popularity is a moving target. It changes with moods, with moments, with public opinion. But purpose is steady. It holds firm when emotions waver. It stands strong when criticism comes. It doesn't bow to pressure. It rises in the face of it. The smart woman has learned that if you live for applause, you'll die by silence. So she refuses to give the crowd that kind of power. She is not afraid to be misunderstood. She is not afraid to be different. She is not afraid to disappoint expectations that were never rooted in truth to begin with. Her commitment is not to pleasing others. It is to pleasing the one who gave her the gift of life, of voice, of vision. She walks away from opportunities if they compromise her integrity. She declines invitations that would cost her her peace. She says no to what's popular if it threatens to pull her away from what's purposeful. While others ask, will this make me more liked? She asks, will this make me more whole? That single shift in thinking changes everything. It reorders her priorities. It strengthens her spirit. It clarifies her path. She understands that being liked can never replace being fulfilled. She knows that popularity can be loud but empty, while purpose may be quiet but full. She chooses impact over image. She values depth over display. Her work may not always be seen, but it will always matter. Her words may not go viral, but they will go deep. And that's enough for her, because she's not looking to impress, she's looking to serve. In moments of pressure, when the crowd is going one way and her spirit is pulling another, she chooses the harder road. She remembers that the path of purpose is often narrow, often lonely, often uphill. But it leads to life. It leads to peace. It leads to legacy, and that's what she's after, not just attention, but eternal significance. She would rather be remembered for doing what's right than be praised for doing what's popular. She would rather walk alone in purpose than stand with a crowd in compromise. Her life becomes a testimony, not of worldly success, but a spiritual substance. She teaches others that popularity fades, but purpose remains. That trends will change, but truth will stand. And through her choices, her courage, and her quiet confidence, she proves that a life lived on purpose is the most powerful life of all. Smart women embrace both strength and softness. They understand that these two qualities are not opposites, but partners. The world often tries to divide them, telling women that to be strong, they must be hard, and to be gentle, they must be weak. But the smart woman knows better. She has discovered the sacred balance between firmness and grace, between standing tall and bending low to lift others. She knows when to speak and when to listen, when to push forward and when to pause, when to confront and when to comfort. Her strength is not loud or showy. It's not a performance meant to impress. It's a quiet, enduring kind of strength that has been earned. She has walked through storms and still stands. She has carried burdens others never saw and still shows up with love in her eyes. Her strength doesn't come from dominance. It comes from resilience. It's the kind of strength that remains kind under pressure, that holds its ground without losing its soul. And her softness, it is not a flaw, it is not a liability, it is her power. She is tender without being fragile, compassionate without being naïve. She sees people, really sees them, not as obstacles or tools, but as souls worthy of care. Her softness allows her to nurture, to heal, to build bridges where others burn them down. It allows her to forgive even when it hurts, to hope even when it's risky, to love even when it's not returned. This woman is not either or, she is both and. She can lead a meeting and cradle a child. She can confront injustice and still cry over someone else's pain. She can run a business, write poetry, manage a home, break generational cycles, and pray with the same fire in her heart. Her softness doesn't weaken her leadership. it deepens it. It adds humanity to her authority. It reminds the world that you don't have to be harsh to be respected, and you don't have to be cold to be taken seriously. There is a wisdom in her softness that sees beyond the surface. She doesn't rush to judge. She pauses to understand. She creates safe spaces where others feel free to be their full selves, because she has done the work of becoming her full self. She has cried in silence and risen in strength. She has lost, learned, and loved again. And from all of it, she has emerged whole. Her life is proof that vulnerability is not weakness. It is a window into strength. That to feel deeply is not to fall apart, but to be fully alive. That grace is not a retreat from truth. It is truth wrapped in humility. The smart woman doesn't armor herself with bitterness. She clothes herself in dignity and dresses her words with kindness, even when she speaks hard truths. The world needs women like this, women who are not ashamed of their softness and not afraid of their strength, women who bring both fire and water, who walk into rooms and bring both challenge and comfort, women whose strength protects, not punishes, whose softness invites, not manipulates. The smart woman knows her power lies in being whole, in embracing all that she is without apology. And when she does, she doesn't just change the room, she changes the world. Smart women build others as they rise. They understand that success means little if it's achieved alone. While some climb ladders only to pull them up behind them, the smart woman holds the ladder steady for the next to climb. She does not fear someone else's brilliance. She celebrates it. She does not shrink in the presence of other powerful voices. She amplifies them. Her heart is not threatened by the success of others, because she knows that real strength is not diminished by sharing, it's multiplied. She carries a different mindset. She's not in a race for validation. She's not hoarding opportunity. She knows that the highest form of leadership is lifting. So, when she learns something valuable, she passes it on. When she opens a door, she leaves it open. When she gains a platform, she invites others to stand on it with her. She doesn't just mentor, she models. She lives in such a way that others feel safe to shine, to speak up, to grow. In her world, empowerment is not a slogan. It's a lifestyle. She speaks life into others, not to gain attention, but because she knows how it feels to walk in silence, doubting your worth, unsure of your voice. She remembers the people who saw something in her before she saw it in herself, and she chooses to be that person for someone else. The smart woman is secure enough to be generous. She doesn't guard her wisdom like a secret. She gives it freely, trusting that lifting others does not lower her. She cheers loudly for other women. She speaks their names in rooms they're not in. She offers opportunities, shares connections, and sees every win as a shared celebration, because she knows when one rises, we all rise. But she also tells the truth. She doesn't sugarcoat struggle. She mentors not with perfection, but with honesty. She shows her scars so others don't feel ashamed of theirs. She leads with authenticity, not image. She builds others not by pretending to have it all together, but by showing what it means to persevere, to fail and rise again, to lead with heart in a world that often rewards hardness. Even in competitive spaces, she carries a different spirit. She doesn't play games. She walks in purpose. She doesn't waste time tearing others down. She spends her energy building legacies. She understands that the true mark of greatness is not in how far she goes, but in how many she brings with her. She's the one who stays after the meeting to encourage someone who felt unseen. She's the one who notices the quiet voice in the room and makes space for it to be heard. She's the one who gives credit where it's due and shares success without hesitation. She's not interested in being the only one at the table. She's interested in making the table longer. Her leadership echoes. It doesn't end with her. The seeds she plants in others grow into trees she may never sit under, but that doesn't stop her. Because she's not just living for today, she's building for tomorrow. She's building people, and that will always be her greatest legacy. Smart women seek divine guidance over cultural trends. They are not swayed by the shifting winds of public opinion or the ever-changing standards of what is considered acceptable, admirable, or successful. While the world around them moves fast, pushing new ideologies, glorifying image over integrity, and applauding compromise for the sake of convenience, the smart woman remains anchored. She doesn't build her life on the fragile foundation of cultural approval. She builds it on something deeper, stronger, eternal. Her compass is not crafted by the crowd. It's aligned with her Creator. She understands that the loudest voices are not always the wisest ones, that popularity doesn't equal purpose, and trendiness doesn't guarantee truth. She doesn't blindly adopt what the world calls progress. If it means losing her principles, she evaluates everything, not just through logic or emotion, but through a spiritual lens. She pauses, she prays, she listens, and then she moves. She knows that divine guidance is not outdated. It's timeless. It's not restrictive, it's freeing. It offers clarity when culture brings confusion. It offers peace when the world promotes pressure. The smart woman doesn't feel the need to chase every new thing because she is rooted in something unchanging. While others are exhausted from trying to keep up, she is steady because she has already chosen who she follows. And that choice defines everything: how she lives, how she leads, how she loves. She is not interested in fitting in when she was born to stand apart. She's not willing to dilute her values just to belong. She understands that true influence doesn't come from blending in. It comes from standing firm. She may be misunderstood, she may be mocked, but she refuses to trade eternal truth for temporary acceptance. The smart woman is guided by something higher than headlines and more enduring than hashtags. She knows that culture changes fast, but wisdom rooted in the divine does not move with the trends. It outlasts them. This doesn't mean she's closed-minded. In fact, she listens more carefully because she's discerning. She engages with the world, but she does not bow to it. She doesn't let fear, fashion, or the pressure to be relevant pull her off track. She has already found her direction, and she trusts it even when it's unpopular. Especially when it's unpopular, because she has learned that the right path is rarely the most crowded. She's not ashamed of her convictions. She doesn't hide her faith to fit into rooms that demand compromise. She walks in truth, not arrogance. In humility, not superiority. She's not interested in arguing. She's interested in living her life as a quiet, powerful testimony of what it means to be led by something holy. People may not understand it, but they notice it. They see the peace she carries, the clarity in her eyes, the confidence in her choices. And eventually, they begin to wonder where that kind of wisdom comes from. And it's not something she brags about. It's not something she uses to elevate herself over others. It's simply the source of her strength, the reason for her calm, the foundation of her identity. It's why she doesn't crumble under pressure. It's why she doesn't sell her soul for acceptance. She knows who she belongs to. She knows what she stands for. And because of that, she walks a path that doesn't just change her life. It lights the way for others who are searching for something real. Smart women are rooted in self-awareness. They have taken the time to know themselves, not just the polished, presentable parts, but the hidden places too. They have looked within, unafraid to confront the layers of who they are, their strengths, their wounds, their patterns, their potential, all of it. They do not live in denial or distraction. They live awake. They live with clarity. They are not afraid to ask the hard questions. Why do I react this way? What am I avoiding? What do I truly need? What is driving me? Fear, love, approval, purpose. This deep honesty becomes their power. They do not depend on others to define them. They don't need constant affirmation to feel valuable, because they've already done the inner work to anchor their identity in truth. Their sense of worth is not swayed by praise or criticism. They appreciate encouragement, but they are not addicted to it. They listen to feedback, but they are not dismantled by disapproval. Their self-awareness gives them stability in a world of emotional extremes. A smart woman knows her boundaries. She doesn't just react to life. She responds from a place of wisdom. She recognizes when she's being stretched too thin. She understands the difference between being needed and being used. She knows when to give, when to rest, and when to walk away. Her choices are not random, they are intentional. Because she understands herself, she lives with purpose. She doesn't just go through the motions, she moves with meaning. She is not perfect, and she doesn't pretend to be, but she is present to her emotions, present to her patterns, present to her growth. She owns her mistakes without shame and celebrates her wins without arrogance. She is grounded, not guarded, transparent, not performative. She lives from the inside out, not the outside in. Her self-awareness allows her to connect with others more deeply. She doesn't project her pain, she processes it. She doesn't manipulate, she communicates. She doesn't demand love, she offers it, because she understands what it means to love herself in a healthy way. She is not chasing completeness in another person, because she has found peace within her own skin. She's not driven by comparison, because she knows her path is uniquely hers. This kind of awareness doesn't happen overnight. It's built through reflection, through solitude, through courageous honesty. It's born in quiet moments, journaling in the stillness, praying through confusion, listening to that deeper voice beneath all the noise. The smart woman invests in this inner journey because she knows everything flows from it. Her decisions, her relationships, her leadership, her peace. In a world that tries to pull people in 1,000 directions, the smart woman remains centered. She may not have all the answers, but she knows who she is. And that knowing becomes her compass, her anchor, her strength. She leads herself well first, so she can lead others wisely. She lives in alignment with her values, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. She knows that power without self-awareness is dangerous, and that real transformation begins within. Her life becomes an invitation, not for others to imitate her, but to discover their own truth. Her calm presence becomes a mirror for others to see what's possible when you are no longer running from yourself. And as she grows in awareness, she grows in wisdom, in compassion, in grace. Because she is not just becoming smarter, she is becoming whole. In a world that often tries to define us by what we do, how we look, or how many people follow us, the smart woman knows that her true worth is found in who she is and in the purpose she serves. She leads with wisdom, not ego. She thinks independently and courageously. She prioritizes purpose over popularity. She embraces both strength and softness. She builds others as she rises. She seeks divine guidance over cultural trends, and she is rooted in self-awareness. The smart woman does not follow the crowd. She follows her calling. She does not live for the applause of others. She lives to make a difference. She does not allow the noise of the world to drown out the still, small voice of truth. Her life is a testament to what is possible when a woman chooses authenticity over approval, depth over surface, and purpose over popularity. Let us all strive to be women who think differently, who walk with intention, who lead with grace, and who build a legacy not just for ourselves, but for those who will come after us. Because the world needs more women like this, women who know their worth, who embrace their power, and who are committed to creating a world where strength and softness, wisdom and love, integrity and courage coexist. The world needs smart women who are not afraid to rise and to lead in their own unique way towards something better. So, stand tall, lead with purpose, and remember your life is a reflection of the difference you are making today and every day. Thank you.